Well, my dear friends and fellow Americans, we got ourselves a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil is jumping. It's cost a fortune at the gas pump. I think it's about $4 a gallon nationwide now. And are you ready for this, folks? I'm trying not to laugh. The president has managed to get into a public spat with the Pope. And now he's pissed everybody off. Megyn Kelly's pissed. Candace Owens is pissed. Tucker Carlson's pissed. You have his staunchest supporters are now all mad at him. And while all this is happening, Americans are staring at the gas prices at the pump and saying, like, how am I ever going to afford to get anywhere? It's $4 a gallon. So the question becomes, folks, what's exactly going on here? And why does it feel like regular people are the ones paying for this? I'm going to show you a video of exactly what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz while I explain it to you. Your tax dollars at work. And I'm even going to get an opinion from our friend Bibi Netanyahu. The Joe Rossano Show is next. Well, I would say reports are saying that the U.S. is enforcing a naval blockade of Iranian ports and warning all those fast attack boats to stay away, but it's a reality. I think it was about 10 a.m. this morning. While I'm recording this, about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there is a blockade at the Strait of Hormuz bordering Iran. All right, so that's pressure with the safety off. Oil jumps instantly. Gas hits later, okay? AP notes oil prices spiked after the announcement. AAA shows gas price averages, folks. You ready for this? $4.12. All right, we got a conservative media backlash, as I mentioned. Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Tucker, they lost their minds over this. Now, before I get into the video, it's a really cool AI video I got set up for you to show you exactly, step by step, what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz and what Benjamin Netanyahu has said about Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon over the years, going back to the 1990s. Before I do that, before I bring you the truth, I ask that you please subscribe, like, share with your friends. This is a big one, folks. Click the notification bell for all the latest episodes of your pal Joe Rossano and the Joe Rossano Show. So, at a rare moment of all of this frustration, the Pope weighs in. Pope Leo called threats against Iran's population unacceptable, shifting this from strategy to moral scrutiny. Now, let me say this, okay? I really do. I don't disagree with the Pope. I mean, President Trump wanting to destroy an entire civilization. We remember that back on Easter Sunday, okay? Open the effing street, you crazy bastards. All praise be to Allah. You heard of that one. But I got to say this, does the Pope consider, or should the Pope consider, that Iran has murdered about 30,000 of their own citizens? 30,000 of their own citizens, right? So, I mean, if you're going to come at President Trump, which is easy to do because he falls for it every time, referring to the Pope as weak, see, not necessary. You got to also say that Iran should bear some of this brunt because they are a brutal people, folks, a brutal people. Okay, so the Pope is basically a warning about humanitarian issues. Conservative commentators, they are firing critiques and not exactly a unified front, okay? Now, think about this. We have economic fallout here, okay? It's affecting regular folks like us, and I repeat, like us. Energy costs are pushing wholesale prices, and they're marking them up. And anybody who asks, because this is asked a lot, okay, if we have obliterated Iran, if we destroyed their navy, destroyed their power to make war, destroyed a lot of their infrastructure, etc., Why are they still in control of the Strait of Hormuz? Well, that's coming up. You're really going to like that because nothing feels stable. Okay. There are talks still being floated as ships sail right through the Strait of Hormuz to guard it now. Now they're monitoring everything. No ships in, no ships out. The podium smiles don't match the creaking floorboards, folks. When the U.S. sets up a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, it doesn't send aircraft carriers. Okay, that we know. All right. And I'm going to get into that with this video in just a moment. But, I guess the thing of, again, you have two sides to this. There's always going to be this. You have your Trump haters, your Trump lovers. Okay. Your Trump haters hate everything he does. Okay. But what they should understand is President Obama thought that Iran had nuclear weapons. They bribed them not to have nuclear weapons, billions of dollars out of our treasury, hundreds of millions out of our banks in cash. And what did they do with that money? I mean, think about this. I'm just talking to the clear thinking folks out there. They spent money on proxies, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, to do their dirty work for them while they enriched uranium back up to 60%. Now, if you want to look at, they always say, let's let the cool heads prevail here. Okay. Level-headed person, it's my opinion, is Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I really think that. I mean, the guy is pretty level-headed. And he will tell you, if he was here, that they had a space program, they had bunkers, they had enriched uranium up to 60%, and they're not doing that for their health. Okay. They, in my opinion, over the years have tried to obtain a nuclear weapon. Now, I'm going to ask here, I'm going to run this. You're going to love this. We're going to ask our pal Bibi Netanyahu, right, what he thinks if Iran ever was going to have nuclear weapons. Okay. I mean, again, this is going to be my favorite part here. So let's take a look. Where are you at, BB?
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months. They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out. Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Oh, check that out, folks. What do you think of that? That's pretty wild. They now they are going to get a nuclear bomb going back to 1996. Well, we got a week before Iran has a nuclear bomb. I mean, now we are going back to Benjamin Netanyahu when many of you weren't born yet. 1996, I wasn't even a father yet. I was a young, goofy kid. And so you saw it every single year. Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu, tells the world that Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon in like a half an hour. And they don't. Now, at the other side, okay, Iran are not a bunch of friendly people, folks. They have been screaming death to America for almost 50 years. They did take a bunch of hostages for 444 days. They embarrassed the heck out of us. Jimmy Carter, rest in peace. Yeah, I mean, I agree with President Trump. He was probably one of the worst presidents in the history of the United States. He tried to rescue the hostages and the darn helicopters crashed. I mean, again, we got ourselves a big fat mess here, folks. We got a big fat mess. So now I am going to run a video I'm going to explain it as I'm going. I'm going to be pausing, etc., of exactly what is going on in the Strait of Hormuz as we speak. As we speak. Just give me a second here. I'm going to set this up. It's going to be pretty neat. So here we go. All right, let's get our blockade going here. So we got the Strait of Hormuz here, right? Right in the center, right here. Where am I? Right here. You are going to see about 21 miles of water right there in the center. Okay. Now, here comes the United States. Now, what they are not going to do, folks, what they're not going to do is use aircraft carriers into that waterway. It's too narrow. It's too dangerous. So instead, the Navy is going to rely on Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyers. Okay. So let's take a look at what those look like here. And here they come into the Strait of Hormuz. You see right now, see this aircraft carrier? Aircraft carrier is not going to be involved in this because, again, it only takes a drone, a missile, a mine, etc., to cause all kinds of trouble. So here we go. So this 21 miles, as I said, right in the center of the strait there. Okay, so the United States using 3 destroyers, okay, the guided missile destroyers, the Arleigh Burke class, are setting up what is called a layered patrol box. Okay, you see this box here? So what this box is doing is you have a patrol boat, again, an Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer, patrolling the north of Iran. Okay. Then you got one in the center, and you got one that's kind of an escort, that's kind of a backup plan. So let's continue here. So again, as I said, you got one patrolling the north. You got one in the center. You have one again that's an escort. It's kind of a backup. Okay, so as we continue, one destroyer again is watching the northern approach. Okay, the other is basically patrolling the deepest part of the channel. Okay, the third is what they call a rapid response. Okay, so the biggest threat, it's not missiles. Okay, so let's see what that big threat is here, because we've all heard about this. It's these little buggers here, these mines. So you ever want to know, well, what are these mines everybody keeps talking about in the Strait of Hormuz and Iran? These are what they're talking about right here. These are the mines, right? See if we can get a bigger shot here. So basically, there are 3 kinds of mines there, okay? First of all, they're cheap, they're effective, and they blow stuff up. So here we go. Now, you see that those mines, let me back this up just a little bit here. You see these mines are at the surface level now, right? That's one type of the mine that you're going to see there. Now, as we continue on, I'm going to show you some other kinds of mines. Now, what happens is, folks, is that when these mines are dropped into the Strait of Hormuz by Iran's decades and decades of infrastructure that they built along the Strait of Hormuz, along the border of the Strait of Hormuz, because, just in case of any type of blockade, okay, they have surface to sea missiles, they have anti-aircraft battery, and all kinds of underground bunkers there, just in case something like this happened. So it's just why, it's happening this way. Now, when they drop the mines into the strait, they start, as you could see here, they start to float. Anybody got a boat? So they're floating towards Dubai, towards Oman, towards Qatar, towards Dubai. Now, this is, let me back this up real quick. This is where it really gets interesting. Okay, so now you have some mines, as I showed you before, at the surface level. And then you have other mines here. My goodness graciousness. They are weighted. So they either they either sink to the bottom, or they kind of hover 50, 60 feet under the surface. So again, they're very hard to detect, and Lord knows how many of them there are, and you only got to hit one of them. So again, you'll see and now what is, let me back this up real quick here. Again, do you see how they're weighted right here and here? So they're under the surface level. So getting back to the equipment that the U.S. is using, here's your tax dollars at work, is an independent class littoral combat ship, an LCS. Okay, now this is vital. And let me tell you what this does. Okay, because Iran, as I mentioned, can scatter these mines all over the place. And some, again, they drift at nearby countries. The Navy, again, is going to use these littoral combat ships. They act like robot motherships, okay? They stay safely outside the minefield, and it sends drones to the danger zone. Okay, you're going to see this is pretty. I mean, I got to tell you, we do have, as President Trump said, we do have some sophisticated weapons. So there it goes. There is what's called basically the sea drone. As you could see, it kind of looks like an iron that you would iron your clothes with. And it launches what's called, it's an unmanned surface vehicle. Okay, it's about a 39-foot unmanned boat, and it drags a sonar behind it and to scan the sea floor for miles. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at it. So, boom, goes into the water, right? It's launching an MH60SC Hawk, and that scans the area. Now, that's looking from above. But some mines, again, buried deep, and neither the surface drone nor helicopters can get them. That's where the knife fish comes in. See, you see that good-looking knife fish there? Unmanned underwater vehicle. Okay, it dives straight to the danger zone, identifies buried mines, and helps safely neutralize them. Even after the mines are handled, there's still a threat of Iran's fast mosquito boats. But again, let's take a look at what this thing does. It sends out sonar, right? And the mines are like, hey, man, this must be a boat. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And then, as mentioned, Iran has these little mosquito boats. So that is basically right now what is going on in Iran. Okay. Is we have the blockade. Let me get this off screen real quick, folks. If I can, we have the blockade. We have some of the most sophisticated equipment that is trying to get rid of the mines. And again, a lot of people wonder what the mines look like, what the mines were. Well, that's them. And again, as you saw, you have some that are surface level. You have some that are about 50, 60 feet underwater, and then some are buried into the ocean floor. So again, there could be 10, there could be 20, there could be 200 of them. And that is the main problem right there. It's not the missiles. It's not these mosquito boats. It is the mines. So the U.S. tracks down those boats using air forces, which is helicopters, and at times they will use F-18s to try to patrol the area. Okay, so here's the bottom line. If America truly has, and this is the one thing that people ask me all the time, well, hey, Joe, look, if Donald Trump said we got all kinds of oil here, We got all kinds of gas here. Why is gas so expensive? Because I asked the very same question, my dearest friends and fellow Americans. It's a good question. Why is gas still so high? If Donald Trump acts like, hey, we got gas all over the place, gas at your house. You go outside, there's gas, there's oil. That's what he sounds like. That's what he makes it sound like. Because of the global chaos, companies like Exxon and et cetera, they price their oil according to the global market. There you go. That's exactly why. That is exactly why. So Exxon, among others, they don't say, well, we'll make because right now oil's about $100 a barrel. And they won't say, well, let's just make it $60 a barrel to help out the United States. That's just not what they do. And it's not what they do. They price their barrels of oil according to the global market, which is about $100 a gallon. A barrel. That's why gas is so expensive. So if the blockade is about strength, explain the price tag. If it's about protecting the world, explain why the world looks shakier and not safer. And when you got the president in a standoff with Iran, a moral warning from the Pope, and conservative media voices openly criticizing the president. Think about this. Megyn Kelly's on stage with the president, okay, as was Tucker Carlson. They campaigned for the president. We all know Candace Owens is a staunch supporter of the president. All they're doing now is criticizing the president. All three of them. Three of the most conservative people out there. Maybe this isn't the clean, brilliant plan some are trying to sell, because right now it just doesn't feel like a master plan. It feels like everyone's flexing while your gas receipt, quite frankly, starts looking like a ransom note. And, again, at the end of the day, folks, there is two ways to look at this. Iran having a nuclear weapon, you will have the conservative base, the MAGA base, or what was once the MAGA base, saying, well, what would you rather, be obliterated by nuclear weapons or pay a few more bucks for gas? And you have the other side saying this wasn't an imminent threat in the first place. Then you have what I consider myself an independent. You got a middle guy like me who says this. I liked Donald Trump's original doctrine. Okay, you got Soleimani, able to get him, able to assassinate him. Al-Baghdadi, or as Trump would say, al-Baghdadi, he died like a dog. All right. Or you drop bunker busters on the nuclear site. Now we got a blockade. Now we got $4.15 a gallon of gas. It's hurting the American people. Trump's fighting with the Pope. Does that surprise you, by the way? Does it? It doesn't surprise me. Not at all. Why should it? Remember when he ran for president 2016 and the conventions were going on? He got into a fight with a Gold Star family. I mean, that's just how the guy is. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, anybody to turn against Trump now because of what he says is a hypocrite, in my opinion. It was really. Trump calling the Pope weak. Look at my face, folks. I look surprised. I'm not surprised. What don't you know? I always say that when it comes to Donald Trump is what don't you know? Donald Trump didn't get old in his 70s and just start, like my mother did, and just start saying what's ever on her mind. He's been saying this stuff since the 80s. Check out his interviews with Oprah or Dan Rather. He said the same thing every single time. Iran must not have a nuclear weapon. These other countries are ripping us off. NATO is ripping us off. He's always been like that. So again, I'm not surprised at all about his argument with the Pope. So again, now that you have a very clear understanding, you got the truth as usual. See how I got all the stuff out and I just kind of brought it to you in a down to earth fashion? That's me, folks. And that's why, again, I ask you to please subscribe, share this with your friends because they probably want to know, hey, what's going on with this blockade? Well, now they know. They know because of you. Share, please, comment, because I'll be back Thursday live starting at about 1 p.m. Eastern time. I will answer your questions. I'll respond to your comments in real time. And I'm going to be doing that live. That is going to be, you're going to be able to find me on Twitch at the Joe Rossano Show, youtube.com at the Joe Rossano Show, facebook.com at Joe Rossano, X at Real Joe Rossano. Make sure you check me out at Real Joe Rossano. And also on Instagram at Joe Rossano Show. So once again, folks, do appreciate it. God bless you. As always, don't forget to adopt a pet. See you next time.